The teacher, yeah? Yeah. I'm just checking. I had a cleaner in a talk I gave recently, which amused me. So if you're a cleaner, that's fine. Thank you, yeah. I am too. So look at teachers, students, we'll look at some digital material, and I'll give you a chance to actually see some of them. I found this on the internet and I thought, yay! Sorry, you read it. If you can't read it, ask your friend. I like the last part. The teacher is most important. I don't know about you, but technology is, I started last century. Teaching in the world of a computer was a thing that basically filled this room, and telephones were things that stayed in the house in one place, and you couldn't go very far because the cord only went probably 2 meters. So my generation, my age, and I'm old, not that old, technology has zoomed, and I don't know about you, but a lot of my colleagues are getting involved. Teaching's not necessary anymore. That it's something that the technology is taking over. So when I read this, I thought, thank you, Phil. Isn't that nice? Students today, I say yes, they have changed. People keep telling me, oh, kids are still the same. Yes, they're obnoxious. Yes, they hate homework. Yes, they invent any reason whatsoever not to study. If you like a chair, there's one over here. Considering I come from Kiwi land. Do you know New Zealand? Yeah? New Zealand, but recently, by the by, but this is what I do all the time. The America's Cup. Has anyone been following the sailing America's Cup? You need 9 races to win. New Zealand is 8 races up, and America is 0. They then get 1, and then they continue. They won and they won and they won and they won, and we came out at 9-8, and New Zealand lost. So don't reach and say, okay. No, the whole thing about students is, yes, they have changed. Students today are much more visual than we were. Some of us actually had books that were black and white and only black and white. Does anyone remember those? No, we'll show you that picture. Coloured pictures were quite exciting. Photographs that actually had colours in them. Wow. Telephones that you actually could carry. To embarrass some of you, which is actually embarrassing myself, I had a telephone that you lifted the receiver, did this, spoke to the operator who put you through to a number. My telephone number was long, long, short. So you try dialing that from today's phones. So yeah, society has changed. As I say, we now have these telephones that come in pretty colours and shapes and all sorts of things, which is lovely, but scary. Learning has changed because students expect much more of us, the teacher. It used to be the teacher would say, shut up, sit down and learn, and the students more or less did. Probably a whip or a cane was involved. But nowadays, I don't know about you, I get the students leaning on the wall with, go on, teach me. Yeah, right. Although even the kids have changed. In Italy, the kids are now this big when they're 16. And I have to spend my entire life going, please sit down. So yeah, everything has changed a lot. And the whole thing about the digital age is that my kids are much better than I am. I am a teacher, I'm not a technician. The computer goes completely blank and my first reaction is, ah! And my second reaction is to look around the room and, please help me. I'm not afraid of that. I'm actually quite grateful if my students help me. I do have colleagues that don't want to do that because they're in the position of, I am the teacher, I know everything, the student learns from me, but actually I'm finding with the digital stuff that the kids are much better. They've got all those little letters and numbers, Do you remember learning about MP3 and MP4? And you're waiting for MP5, and there probably will be one soon, and I have no idea what it will do. But it's kind of freaky because actually we're becoming students. Now, digital, yes, it should make a teacher's life easier. It should be the nice. How many of you have got an interactive whiteboard in your classroom? Oh, blimey. How many have got one in the school? Okay, how many do not have interactive whiteboards anywhere near the school? Okay, thank you. I love you. The Italian government, I live and work in Italy, and the Italian government had this brilliant idea of sending out interactive whiteboards to all the middle schools in Italy. They didn't actually send out the technician to show teachers how to use them. So we have lovely, lovely interactive whiteboards that are still wrapped up somewhere because no one actually knows how to use them. Or the normal teacher, like me, goes to a school. Yes, you can use the interactive whiteboard. You need to book it. Fair enough. I go to book it. It's now what, September? I can have it probably April the 17th because the technician's not available. There's 192 teachers and one interactive whiteboard. So that's my reality. I don't know about you. There are some schools where they have them in every single classroom. Yeah. But I think this is also true. We're teaching kids for tomorrow. We're actually teaching them for up tomorrow that even we don't know. Whereas many years ago when I was young, many wrinkles ago, we did used to teach them to survive today. Now we know. So what do students gain? Students love digital material. They don't need a teacher. Which is great, because how many of you have students that love you? How many of you walk into school and have the students go, "Oh, hi!" Do they? If they're this little, yes, they do. I mean, I'm sorry, primary school kids do actually go, "Hi." And they're the ones that embarrass you when you're in the supermarket, and they go, yeah, okay, I do actually have a light outside the school. And then if we're teaching the 16, 17, 18-year-olds, do you have any of those? God, I love those kids. But it is true that, okay, the sense of self, the sense of group achievement, the sense of kids working together, competition, yes, you can make it much more competitive in class. I'm personally not a great one for competition. I have a brother and a sister. They used to play, and I was the one who was the net. So my idea of competition was avoiding the ball. Thank God they didn't play squash. And of course, socialisation. Of course, if you're teaching the upper group, the teenager group, they love working together because if they fancy one of the other students, I'll work with her. Well, at least mine are like that anyway. What about yours? Teacher gains. Now, what do we gain from digital stuff? Digital work is great because the kids can do it themselves, meaning if you've got, here she is, my little problem child, I can go over and talk to her and help her. This, I think, is great to give individual attention. Less marking. That's the one I like. Don't you love less marking? How many of you spend hours and hours and hours marking things? And then you go into school and you have to say, why is it A and not B? And you're just sitting there, just because it is. Enhanced language presented to student. Obviously, it's a good backup system. You do the presenting, the product itself does the backup. The peer correction. One of my wonderful experiences with the interactive whiteboard one at work. I had a group of kids that were 13 going on 14. It was the first time they saw an interactive whiteboard, and I was expecting them to be a bit sort of hysterical. So they were doing the work, and we did a grammar exercise. And it was one where you had to have capital letters and apostrophes all in the right place. And the kids were rather disappointed because I'm, it's capital I. My kids didn't realise that. At the end I said, okay, look, we've got 5 minutes. What would you like to do? We can have a game, we can watch a video, what would you like? Can we do another grammar exercise, please? I swear to this day, I thought the kids were on something. I've never, ever had teenagers say, can we do more grammar, please? So, of course, you sort of sign this document because I need proof of this. Of course we can do more grammar. Student independence. Yes, this is one thing that we do as well. We're teaching our kids to be independent, take control of their learning, lifelong learning, we hope. Are your kids like mine? That they're really enthusiastic about English? And yes, I am being facetious. Do yours walk in and go, yay, English? Sometimes? Has been known to happen. Yes, I like that. Yeah, don't worry. Digital material. This is one thing I love. How many of you have done a course on how to use a computer in the past? Has anyone ever done a computer at school, maybe because you were students, or after school, learning how to use a new thing? I love it. By the time you've done the course, go to actually buy a computer for yourself. Technology has changed. And there are all these additions and alterations, and there's now, well, I don't know what they're all called. That's the word, but they say is, yes, exactly, update comes on. Press this to update your, and I still don't know what that thing is I'm updating. I press OK and hope for the best. This is where teenage children, by the way, are God's gift. Because you say, sweetie,
what do you want?
Uses. As I say, computers used to be. I mean, how many of you remember the typewriter? Remember you used to type and then swing that bar across? Thank goodness someone born last century like me. I remember doing those electrical typewriters where you could actually erase what you'd written with one button. Do you remember those? I love that one. Now, with computers, you can erase the whole document. Sometimes you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
And like even telephones, remember that when you erase the message, it's still somewhere in cyberspace for 9 days. So you can actually get those back as well. Scary, eh? Types. There are all these different names. There's Word, there's Mac, there's all different types of computers. There's a thing called Linus, which to me is a Charlie Brown character. It's actually something to do with a computer. And then of course the level, competency of user. Now I was at a school where computers did not exist because it was a few years ago. Computers came in afterwards. So competency of user, I am the classic, what happens if I press a button? And sometimes it works. And I love the ELI material. Not these ones, I'll show you later, because the little voice comes up, are you sure? And I love that one. Yes, no, because competency of user, I'm beginning. Language level, yes, the thing about the ELI games I like, there is a language level. If it's A1, A2 or B1, so yes, you can try students using one product with different levels. Maturity of students I put down because some students can work by themselves without destroying things. Some cannot. I wrote down trustworthiness of students because Italy did a wonderful experiment last year of giving tablets to students in the schools. They have these little magic books that are actually now on a tablet. The government said, go forth and teach. The teacher is at the front of the room with the 3 students who are paying attention, and the other 23 students are sitting at the back of the class with their tablets. And because there's a thing called Wi-Fi, Facebook, YouTube, and pornography. So you have a few students concentrating and the others aren't. Now this is obviously trustworthiness, because I can't be everywhere at the same time. So if I'm talking to this person, this one's over here sending a message to her friend via Facebook. Lovely, huh? They grow up. Remember that, they grow up. Now, digital books. How many of you read e-books on Kindles? Has it changed your life? Cool, eh? I need glasses to read, so it's wonderful because you can make them really big. So you can actually not embarrass yourself by having to put your glasses on and read one. Digital games, I'm going to show you that. Digital almost anything and everything. You can actually do your shopping when you're not home simply by tapping in a few things. Isn't that wonderful? The problem is then being home for when it's delivered, but that's a minor detail. Right, we're going to look at games. Do you play games in class? Okay, children, I'm not oh, good, okay. I say to my kids, I'm not telepathic. I need verbal answers. Do you play games in class? Yes. How do you play them? Okay, interactive whiteboards? Board games? Okay, let me be right. When do you play them? Yeah. Right, very often they are used at the beginning of the lesson or the end of the lesson, or around, for example, end of the year, Christmas time, Easter time, as a sort of a let's play. So what is game? Hello. Why? Sometimes because you want to strangle them and the alternative is don't play a game. Sometimes it's because the pace of the lesson needs something to change, and therefore we do this. And of course the game types. Dominoes. You play dominoes? Yes. Boards and pieces. Some of you said yes. Cards. So card games. You have a die or a dice which you tend to lose. I do. I started off with dice, now I have die. Counters. Do you have counters? So you started off with about 17 in the box and now there's 3. So you ask your students to bring out a pencil sharpener, a rubber, a coin to represent themselves. Will that be? Okay, good. I'm glad you like me. Okay. Now, ELI offers digital games. Okay, digital games, depending on the game, some of them are just clicking. I'm going to show you some of these now. But a game, like this one for example, the domino game, unless all the answers are right, the game can't stop. Well, you can, you just press stop. But there's no, yay, you finished! And also, my favourite one, which isn't here of course because I haven't got it, is the great verb game, which if you go to the ELI table you'll see. It's because my students are not all at the same level. I don't know about yours. I have 24, 25, 26 kids in my class. Some of them are actually able to speak English, some of them a little less. They're all quite digitally active, they're all quite savvy about the computer, but in terms of language. Now, as you can say, the digital game, obviously they can use it at home, and I can imagine all your students rushing home to play a game in English. No? You can't see them all rushing home? Hello, we live in a dream world. Come on, we're teachers. None of you are scientists, otherwise you'd be out there earning masses of money. You're like me, you're a teacher. You live in the hope that one day your kids will actually be able to give directions as opposed to saying to total strangers, come with me. Come on. As I say, interactive whiteboard, if you've got computers like in this particular building. Oh, blimey, a bit modern. Okay. And also the group dynamics, obviously you can have a student playing by themselves, you can have them working together, or in a wee group. Now, would you like to play? Now, this is where the technology part of me collapses. I don't laugh. Now, is that loud enough? Can you hear? Right now, children, what do we have to do? Press start. Good. It's actually sitting there going, me. Now, as I said to you, this is a game that you can play at A2, you can play at B1, or you can combine the cards. We're going to be stupid today. Put in the name of your student, and I'm going to pick Bob and Fred. Why? Because they're easy names. Now, I'm not British. I'm going to embarrass me now. Right. I put this game on first because culture is something we have to teach. That is to say, in my schools, we have to teach from the UK. And sometimes my students say, why is that building famous? I have absolutely no idea. Now, okay, my character allows me to say I don't know, and my students laugh. I do have some students that say, well, why don't you know? And you have options to hit them or not. But what I like about this game is that, for example, this one, if I push number 49, ooh, up the level user, there's the answer. You see? Why is giant causeway famous? That's just the case in the island. Nearly 90,000 is not first corner. And you sound really intelligent. I love sound effects, I'm sorry. So, okay, I'm sorry. Blimey. So even if you don't know anything about these places, pressing on them, you get to know why they're famous, which is lovely. Now, how do you play this game? Does anyone know Trivial Pursuit? Okay, would you like to play this? No, exactly. And here, basically, the students have to move the wheel. And, oh, great start. That'll be me, Bob. Right, now who's Bob? That's Fred. This is Bob. Can you see the name up the top there of your card? So Bob moves to Dover. That's great, isn't it? And my category is red, which is culture. What foods do the British typically eat on Sundays? And I go, I don't know. 80% this, 33.3%. Which one would you like? Okay, it's not B. Right, the Sundays, and you go, oh, and then you check. Oh, good. And then you close it and Bob continue. Now, Trivial Pursuit, people know Trivial Pursuit. The odd one out, okay kids, remember this is A2 level, don't get excited. odd one out, fruit juice, tea, ice cream, milk. Oh, it's a toughie, eh? Go on. 50-50, no, actually 25%. Come on kids, which one do we think is the answer? I'm just going to go with ice cream, okay. And if you're wrong, okay, so ice cream. And then, sorry, and then of course you get all sorts of stupid things. No. Oh, she said May, we'll go with May. Hey! Exactly, trick question. May, only 3 letters. Cool! So there you have the categories. But the nice thing is, there's a bit of geography. And this is where aren't you grateful for teamwork? Isn't it one of those moments where you go, and the answer is, and you indicate your partner who's now panicking quietly. So there you go. And there's a nice little game of check we're right. Okay. So you've got this, you've got grammar, and you've got idiomatic expressions, which I love. Right, we reckon it's B. And no, sorry, no. So here you go again. So pressing this tells you how many to move. You press your category. If you're right, you move on. So there we go. Excuse me, cool game? Yeah. Thanks very much. And then of course the rules, if you need them, restarting when you make a mistake. I mean, I love this game because it just See? Do you really want to quit the game? Yes. Yes. And now, we close it. Would you like to see another game? Yes, please. I'm delighted. Did you hear that? Yes, please. Would you like to come out of there, please? This is where I go to this word. Try this. Now, children, you can play question chain or let's party. Let's party! Okay. Okay. You have to be some advantage for being the teacher. Yeah. Does anyone have students with listening problems? No one. Only you. Well, you're the only one who's got this problem, it would appear. You seriously have no problem. Thank you for being honest. I love you. Cool, blimey. Alright, what have I got? I've got a PC, I think. Politically correct. The music is irritating when you've heard it 55 times. I will admit, but again, the difficult thing to do is, what did I do? Okay. Now we need a boy's name. Oh, go back. We need a boy's name. Bob, I told you Bob works. Bob stands for Best of Bad Bunch. The girl's name is Bobette. Well, it would be fair, wouldn't it? No time limit because you're a bit on the slow. Here is simply a dominoes game. And here's Bob going, make it. See Bob at the top? Saying bullshit, isn't it? And what you have to do is, like dominoes, here is the expression and here is the picture. You do know dominoes, don't we? Do any of the ones at the bottom? No? Good. So we keep going until we find this ball clicking away. Come in and stop, children. Stop! You're all trying to read, aren't you? Sorry. Happy? Well, that was a good start, wasn't it? Right, some games take longer than others. Right, well, we tried these ones, I think. Well, if you go back to the beginning then, I think. Right, we're doing well, kiddies. Okay. When you're ready. I'll give you a hint, it's one of them, okay? And the pictures are on the, okay, I'll just keep going until someone sees. Could be that one! Yes, this one, okay. And then you move, and hopefully it's yes. Come on! Oh! And now you continue. Now, can anyone see past, present, and future on the left? Good. Basically, in terms of grammar, you then have to either, you decide, you need the person who are playing, is it going to be a past story, a present story, or a future story? And you decide. So, Emma, David, Brian, and Lucy invite, and the story is told like that. It's pretty disappointing. Well, I like it. Anyway, would you like to finish? Yes. So many choices. So that's another domino game. The question chain, I mean there are other ones as well. The question chain is pretty similar. That just said goodbye, didn't it? Okay. The question chain one is similar. This one, however, you need the kids to do the talking. Okay, in this sense. This is a card where the kids have an answer at the top, a question at the bottom. Someone reads the question, the others have to listen and tell the right answer. Here you have problems, my kids have problems with Tuesday and Thursday. Here, who is it and whose is it? are the two types of questions to try and trick the students into responding incorrectly. So what's your name, what's her name? My kids have problems with that because of her being the formal use in Italian. Right, we've done the look. How much time have I got? Not enough. You like this? You're not supposed to laugh, you're supposed to go, oh dear. Kind of nice. I have to show this to my colleagues who are terrified that the computer's going to take over. They watch too many science fiction films. Now, digital readers, e-books. Some of you said you have Kindles, yeah? Has anyone never, ever touched a digital book? No, it's like asking the students, so is anyone being bullied at the moment? Hello? Sorry. But I mean, they do ask stupid questions in books, isn't it? How many of you still have parents living together? They are just not together, they're together with somebody else. So e-books are multi-ROM. Now if anyone wants free, that's F-R-E-E, not T-H-R-E-E. If you want free material, abbeyreaders.com has a reader's guide, which is extremely useful for readers, books, which is what we're going to talk about now. See, as soon as you say the word free, everyone's like, oh, that would be me. I love the teachers, the kleptomaniacs. It's true. Now, early young readers, that's the same for primary school children up to about 11 or 12. Let's say ones that go up to A2 level. Have what they're now calling, it says that they've got the stick which actually, coming it's a video multi-ROM. Basically it's an e-book, but the difference is, and that's what I wanted to show you, the difference with this is that you can actually do the exercises from the book on the interactive whiteboard or on the computer. Now, does anyone not know this story, Uncle Jack and the Meerkats? Okay, you're allowed to do that. If you come to my talk tomorrow, I will give you more. It's one of my favourite books. I just love this book. And I'll talk about this book tomorrow until the cows come home because I love this book. I knew you were going to embarrass me to do that. You guys can laugh, it's always so sick to me. Right, now you just sit quietly and hope for something to happen. Loading is always a good sign. Hey! How many teach little kids? Like 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds? Okay. Now even 16-year-olds still say, hooray, it's holiday time! Now, here, what we have is basically the cartoon of the story. You can have the audio tracks if you just want to have the kids listen and read, and then you have activity pages. Now basically, sorry, that was really loud.
ELI Reader. Dominique Guy.
And don't you love the poor button? Now, does anyone know the story? I've actually chosen stories that you probably don't know. I did it on purpose, I'm sorry. It's because if it's a classic in it, but if it's a story that kids don't know, give them more fun.
Copyright.
I won't show you all of it. No, wait, only that 4 minutes.
It's summertime. Jack is really happy.
And dangerously upside
He
down.
loves the... This year, he's going on holiday with his grandma and granddad. Finally, they arrive. Jack opens his suitcase. He's got lots of things in it.
There's some precious things.
The next day, Jack wakes up in his lovely bed. It looks like a boat. But it's already 8 o'clock. Quick, let's go to the beach. On the beach, Jack and his granddad play with a ball. Jack's ball is yellow like the sun. His grandma is sitting on a deck chair. She's sunbathing.
Now that's the life, isn't
There
it?
is their little dog, Alfie. Alfie's got a problem. He's afraid of the water and he can't swim. But Jack's got an idea. Now Jack and Alfie go for a swim. Alfie really likes his red, green and yellow rubber ring.
As you can tell, it's the little one, this one, okay? Although if you've got students with problems, do you like Granny? I love Granny. I think Granny's got the best job. Okay, so the story is there. Or we go back to we do the activity pages. Now what I said to you before, the whole thing about this is the kids do it, the kids are independent. Unless they're about 6 or 7 years old, if your kids are like mine, and they're always, is this right, is this right, is this right, is this right? Like how many of you go, Mummy, Mummy, look at me! I can't look at you and the other kids. So here we have obviously things taken from the story. That would be nice. Now if anyone says these words are difficult, pack is not a pack. What is it, children? Correct. Okay, and then you keep going, and then we won't do all of it because you'll all look at me and go, what drug is she on? And it's all antihistamine. Any problems there? No. So there you go. And then back to the home page again, and of course you can, if you're lucky, Tracey, yes, remember how to kill it. And we'll go back to my talk. So there you go, the multi-ROMs are there, the stories are animated, the kids can do it all. And I'm sorry, but you're not as beautiful as an animated story. I put these away, otherwise I forget them. And I get told off for leaving Sunday on the computer because we're not supposed to. We're supposed to take them out. You are, they tell me. I just did. Now, how much time have I got? 2 minutes. Yay! Okay, digital books. How many of you use a digital book already? 2 or 3 of you. Really? Wow. I love the idea of a digital book because I can just stick it in my handbag. It's cool, eh? How many books have you got? 3. And I'm sorry, how many of you teach more than one level on any given day? How many of you have to walk around with student books, workbooks, answer books, CDs? Do you have a CD player in the classroom? So you've got that one in your hand as well? You can always spot language teachers in schools. Always. You're the ones with the drawn face. And how many of you have got lifts in school? My lifts are called Federico and Marco. Because sometimes the lift in the school works, but very generally it doesn't. And so I've got some very nice young boys, and they come and they go, wait a minute, do you want a hand? Yeah. Because, yeah, you understand. And how many of you have got students who have serious problems with vowels in English? I mean, in Italy it's the A, the E and the I in particular, and questions in books are always A, B, C or D. Sometimes you get an E. And when you say the answer is A, my kids are looking for E. And the embarrassing thing is sometimes there isn't one and they're still looking for it. So I have to say the digital books are great because you simply throw them up there, click on it, and the answer's nice and clear. Because I don't know about you, but I'm sick of marking homework. I'm sick of spending so much time in class, and it could be 10, 15 minutes, of marking homework because you have to A, apple, A, not that A, the other A, okay, and then numbers. My kids have big problems with 13 and 30. Open your books to page 34. Are yours doing that as well? It's so nice to know the kids are the same. Kids are lovely, aren't kids wonderful? So I have to say, digital books have actually saved me a lot when I have an interactive whiteboard or a computer. So it says to the kids, go to this page and I'll show you this in a few seconds. Now you get to choose. Would you like elementary, pre-intermediate or intermediate? Good, because it's in my hand. That was not suggesting which ones you should have, but I think that's very certain. Would you like lots of homework or just a little? You don't, so that means lots. Now with digital books, which is what I love, the students get the questions and we get the answers. Isn't that cool? I love that. How many of you actually do go home and read the reading exercises before giving them to the students? Now you don't have to admit it, you can sort of go right sometimes. No, because I mean, to be honest, the first time I have a book, yes I do. I read everything because I've nothing else to do on a Saturday night. But usually the second or the third year I try and rely on my absolutely impeccable memory to what I read, and then I do the exercise in class. The listening exercises, yes, I am a very good teacher the first year. The second year, not. But I mean, I did do it. And I'm old, but don't exaggerate. So I quite like having the answers there. And I quite like having the answers with, it is this because ... Have a look at page or line 34. I love that. I think that's really important. And I do like the fact that the students actually have to do the work themselves. Now, digital books. Let's have a look and see what we can find. This comes from a course book called Flash on English, which I'm assuming, she says, no one's heard of. Would that be right? Okay, good, because it's new. If you've heard of it, I would seriously, that was exciting. Now what do I do? Basically, as you heard me ask, it's a 3-level, 4-level course book now. Elementary, pre-intermediate, intermediate and upper intermediate. A general course book for the big one. This is the part I love about technology. I'd like you all to sit and say a few words to yourself, because nothing's happening. You just sit there and hope. Now what I like is that I have one CD-ROM, but I can actually have 2 teachers working on the same CD-ROM. My name is Tracey. Did you know that? I didn't. Right, that was pretty exciting stuff. As in, this tells you about the course book. What I like about this is, if you can notice these, this is what I love. I love things like that. Now I'll show you. Okay, so we open up the book, we press the page and hope it's open. Is everybody happy? Lovely liars, you're lovely. Now, how many of you have got students who, when you say, read this, and then I'm going to ask you some questions, they read everything? Almost everything. What I like here is that I can go, you can actually see it. Where is this? Oh, fire, you can see it. So what I do is hide the screen and I just type in what I want. Tracey, where is it? It's disappeared, it's gone, it's gone. Where is this? you well the time. Notes in the teacher's book, don't worry. Okay. So here, focusing on a photograph, what can you see? How many people are there? Lots is the answer, by the way. And you're able to do that. Actually, I don't teach my kids the word lots, I teach them some. Because some is a very important word. Have you finished all the exercises? Some. Have you done your homework? Some. Which might mean I actually took the book out of my bag and put it on my table. But that means at least I've done some of the tasks. My students learn 3 things. Some, not yet, and should. Because one of those will work in every single question that you ask them, apart from what's your name. But even, how are you? I should answer that question, but I don't know if it's how old am I. So there you go. And then of course we hide the screen and we take everything away and we get rid of this. Here you're able to focus very quickly on, please don't embarrass me, please work. Don't embarrass me, alright, embarrass me, thank you. Yay! Anyway, I love digital books. They're so much fun. They're so fast. This is actually my computer, by the way. My computer was probably made 19-something or other. But here, the thing is, focusing on an exercise is just so much easier because kids tend to, I don't know about you, look through the book to see what else they can see if there's anything that's easy to do, and things like that. The nice part about that is that it's all there. Here I like because you can actually write on the page, which I love. You know, have a look at this. You need lots of practice with mouses. If you've got a digital pen, obviously that's much easier. I'm a little bit of that down there. And then of course God and things with the rubber, eraser tracers, which you just do your boys. Thank you for that.
Hey, Prof, doesn't it mean something else?
No, it doesn't. Go away. How many of you are teaching one level, but you have 2 or 3 classes at that same level? Okay. The thing is, I teach a beginner class, so to speak, an elementary class, but I've got 1A, 1B, and 1C. They're all 1s, but I've got 3 different classes. What I like about this particular product is the thing there on the right, it says files. Sometimes, actually every single time, things change within the class. You've got a child who needs a particular word and not another one. In this one, I can actually, I haven't got it here obviously, make a photocopy or make a worksheet and insert it into my program on this computer and actually drag it out, and it's kept on this magic little thing. Pretty cool, eh? Pretty cool, eh? I think that's cool. So that means I can individualise my classes, which I think is really important. And then of course, how many of you have got kids who do homework? I told you it works! And the rest of you are going, not yet. I told you it works. And should work for those who are still thinking which one of those 2 do I choose. You're actually able to import students' homework. If students send you their homework, you can actually drag it up and stick it onto this file, which I think is wonderful. And the nice thing is, those of you who can't do it, you will have a student who can. Isn't that wonderful? Email. Do you know email?
Yeah, more or less.
Do you use it? With your students? No, in England it's absolutely perfectly normal. A teacher will actually prepare her work, send it to her students via email, and the kids have to do the homework according to what's coming through the email. What I love is that the teacher, I should say, might send in absolutely everything, and the kids have no comprehension whatsoever, so they go to a thing called a parent. and say, can you please translate what this says, please? I'm not quite at that level. My kids, some have got email and some don't, or perhaps they do but won't tell me. I've also got the problem of one family in 4 in Italy does not have a computer. So the government, with another bright thing they decided to do this year, to enrol your child at school, go online and enrol him at the school. Well, of course, you can imagine what happened. All the parents went to school and asked the secretary if they could together enrol the kid online because they didn't know how to do it, which I thought was interesting because I thought the way the children are, I would have said to the children, could you please enrol your son, please? Despite the fact the kid's 8, but there you go. So here you go. As I was saying before, the whole problem about 34 and 44 isn't a problem because you just type it in and then you say, here, do this. Great, eh? Don't you love digital books? Aren't they wonderful? Don't you want 6 or 7? Yeah. Look at the enthusiasm of the lady on my right there. She go. No, the thing is that it does make life much, much easier for you. I mean, the nice thing about this book, which of course, how many of you have got teenagers? The nice thing, the whole thing about what I like about Flash is that it's got a storyline through it. It's got one part of the presentation is done just a normal, let's say, way. The other one is a storyline, and you've got 4 teenagers. This young lady is one of them, and they have all sorts of little problems, like, you know, what to wear. And they're discussing this, so you get things like, shall I article now? But the language is through teenagers, and it is teenager language. I get rather distraught by my teenage girls saying, I met a boy, he's very handsome. I don't think that's normal for someone who's 16 to say a boy is handsome. He's cute, he's hunky, he's gorgeous, he's fab, but you don't say he's handsome. You've been reading too many Daniel instantly. The same with the boys. I teach in a vocational school where they're all boys. They don't know what a girl, well, they do know what a girl is. Let me rephrase that. They don't have much experience with girls at school. Last year I think we had 3 girls in the entire school, and you've never seen anything so funny in all your lives. It's all my boys going, oh, what's the point of English? You know, why are we learning English? Back on the teacher. So therefore I needed to teach them language that was language for them. I mean, the thing about hot, do your kids have problem? The word hot, she's hot. I think it's important that kids know these words. I think it's important that kids know that hot is a perfectly acceptable word, but you do not go to your mother and say she's hot. Same as you don't come to the teacher and say she's hot. You say she's very attractive or lovely, but you don't use it. So I actually like the fact that this language is presented, because it enables you as a teacher to say that word is perfectly all right amongst your friends. Katy Perry, whom I actually quite like as a singer, has a problem with vocabulary. She likes to use words like, can I say it? Okay, can't I? Is everybody over 18? Bitch. Anyone know the word bitch? Yeah? It means female dog. In Italy, it means a woman who works more horizontally than vertically. But my kids use the word incorrectly, so I have to say, time out, time out, time out. Katy Perry is not saying you are like a female dog or someone who swings a handbag. What she's saying is, however, you do not come to me and say, she's up. You say it to your friend. So things like that I think are important, and I want a book that enables me to play with language, although I play with language quite a lot anyway. Okay, now how do I kill this? You press stop. Oh! So what can digital material do for me? It can help you. It can save you time. Marking, I think, for me is the biggest thing. Attention. As much as you are very beautiful people, right, your students don't see it. They think that a little rectangular thing or a big rectangular thing is much more beautiful than you. And if any of you teach at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, sometimes your students are less beautiful than a little rectangle or a big rectangle. So I think we understand these things. In terms of what it's done for me, the marking is the big thing, the attention is the big thing, the grammar thing I will never ever forget, I promise you. I've never had students say, please more grammar, and I will remember that for the rest of my life. And so will they. You like grammar, remember? So, what have we done today? We've looked at teachers, we've looked at students. I've given you, I hope, a little sort of smattering of what ELI has on offer with some examples. Thank you very much for coming. Now, there is my email, but I'm also in the program, the book as well, and I'd like to